Good day, everyone. It is January 7th, 2019. Welcome to the first product call of the new year. I'm your host, Asa Dotzler. Today we've got some great updates coming to you from across the project. But first, a quick note about this meeting. A group of us who care met over the holidays and again last week to discuss the future of this meeting. The first thing we agreed is that it absolutely will continue. A public weekly meeting will happen. We've got some ideas for some changes, some big, some small. We'll be working with internal comms. We'll be soliciting input from you guys, and we'll get back to you over the coming weeks with the kinds of changes we've got proposed. Now on to the regular scheduled program. As is customary, we're going to open with Friends of Mozilla. These are people, volunteers, and employees who have gone above and beyond the call of duty over the last week. We'd like to start by recognizing Jens Hausdorff and Miguel Useche for taking time over the holidays to answer almost 100 people's support questions on Twitter. Jens is a 16-year-old student in Germany who started contributing to Sumo last year, and Miguel is a university professor in Venezuela who's been a Mozillian for around 9 years. Thanks to you both and the whole social support team for helping people use and love Firefox. A big thanks also to the add-ons community members, Shivam and Sean, for mentoring new code contributors on addons.mozilla.org. And with that, we move to our speakers. The first presenter today is Michael Van Cleet, giving us the weekly minute from MozPDX.
Hi, Asa. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy 2019. It's the weekly minute with weekly updates from Mozilla IT on the things we're doing to support and empower all of Mozilla in our mission to keep the web a global public resource, open and accessible to all. An internet that truly puts people first, where individuals can shape their own experience and are empowered, safe, and independent. And you know, our mission has never been more important than it is going into 2019. So excited to get the year started. Mozilla IT will be empowering the mission in many new and different ways in 2019, while at the same time keeping up the same great levels of service and support that you've come to expect from us. Stay tuned as we develop and share specific plans. A couple things I can talk to you about right now, though. We are developing a software engineering practice skilled at delivering cloud-native solutions. We'll be making Mozilla-centric solutions by augmenting outside offerings through APIs and implementing our own solutions where it makes sense to do so. Our unique global community and staff use cases require us to get creative and cloud-native to best empower our global user-centric mission. So throughout this year, you'll be watching as we have an SRE team, we develop some software engineering and really start looking at how we can reconceive software to deliver the work of our mission. As an example, in the last call, Emma Humphreys asked if someone could take the BMO dupes web service that she shared and create a Slack bot for it. So over the holidays, I went ahead and built a function in Python to access the service, deployed it on AWS Lambda, which is a serverless platform, fronted it with a Slack bot, which is now in the Mozilla sandbox, the Mozilla Slack sandbox, and created all the AWS infrastructure and a continuous integration pipeline to automate Lambda development deployment. I just wanted to create an example so people can see how the whole end-to-end process might work and might look. And can work with me on that. So I documented everything in a public GDoc, which is linked here, with extensive links to source materials. I mean, I didn't invent all this stuff. It all came from a variety of different people. And my source code for the Slack bot is in one GitHub repository, and additional code related to integration and whatnot is in a second repository. I'd love your help in making this better. And I'd love for it to be a source for people learning about continuous integration, AWS, Python, Lambda, and Slack bots. So contribute, learn, and share. Let's make 2019 a year of learning. Speaking of learning, 2018 was great, and 2019 will be even better. And as you all know, I love my Coachella. And in the words of Coachella headliner Ariana Grande, 2018, look what you taught us, and for that we say, thank you. Next.
Thank you, Michael. Next up, we have Liz Hull with our weekly marketing update.
If everybody else feels simultaneously hype and heartwarmed like I do after the weekly minute, but that's a gift. Thank you. So I'm here. I'm Liz, just to give you a quick update from the marketing team. So at All Hands, a lot of you probably heard about the Firefox Fights for You campaign, and hopefully you've seen some of that messaging out in the wild. Since that campaign's launched in December, it's generated 385 million impressions, helping people understand that Firefox is private and on your side. Early results from a survey we're running with one of our media partners also shows that we're on the right track. We have a 15% jump in brand favorability with people who've been exposed to the ads and a 19% lift in intent to download Firefox, which is great to see. So as part of the campaign, you might remember we also made 3 versions of the ad in English. This week, we're working with Lucy and Constantina from the Open Innovation team to invite our community to make your own versions of that. So you can go to the link in the wiki to get more information on that. The prompt will also go up on Discourse later this week because we want people in every part of the world and every language to know that Firefox fights for you. And that includes all of us. Like, we fight for you. We as Firefox fight for you. So check that out later this week. I also want to give a quick shout out to Sandy Sage and the Monitor team for Anya and Elise and Anika take advantage of an opportunity to help educate people about breaches. There was a really major data breach in Germany that affected a lot of politicians and celebrities. So we had messaging that went out in social and in product to help remind people that you don't have to be famous to be part of a data breach. In fact, you might already have been part of one. So just reminding people that Monitor's out there, and there are also a lot of great tools and privacy tips to help you get control of your data online. So that's it this week for marketing. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Liz. Next up is me. I've got a quick Firefox update for you. Firefox 64 is our current stable release. We haven't had any dot releases over the holidays, which is really nice, and I'm sure that our release management and other teams are happy that they weren't called in over the holidays. Firefox 65 is in the beta channel and moves to stable on January 29th. We're in our 8th beta with 9 coming out tomorrow of a scheduled 12. So if you've got something that needs to make Firefox 65, now is the time to get it in. 66 is in the nightly channel, moves to our stable release on March 19th. It's been 3 weeks since our last update, and in that time we fixed about 800 bugs, which is a little slower than our normal pace, but expected over the holidays. Still behind a flag, we've implemented dynamic import proposal. This will be enabled by default soon. The bug to track that is 1517546. Web Extension's got a clipboard API. Firefox supports the overflow block and overflow inline media queries. A regression that was causing stuttering on YouTube with VP9 videos has been fixed in nightly and in beta, and we're probably going to uplift that to release. And we've got search handoff in the new tab page. So when you start typing in the search box in the new tab page, it will automatically move the cursor up to the awesome bar and start typing and auto-completing there. New feature worth checking out. Last but not least, we've got a new platform for Firefox. Starting in mid-December, we have nightly builds for Windows on Snapdragon. This is Windows on ARM64. We've got some issues with the builds. They're not tested. They don't even get our automated testing that our other nightlies do, so buyer beware. They're missing the EME plugin, so you can't watch Netflix. We don't yet have the Crash Reporter working. We don't have the Gecko Profiler working, and we don't have our highly optimized Ion JIT yet. But if you've got a Windows on ARM device, now is the time to start testing that. With Nathan Freud's blog post last week, we went from about a dozen testers up to about 3 dozen. So join us in testing ARM64 builds if you've got the device. That's it for this week's Firefox update. Next, we have Dee Bryant with our ET update.
But first, a trip back in time to an earlier part of the meeting that we didn't talk about. A Wednesday of this week is the first Homebrew Website Club meetup of the year, happening actually in 4 places: Nuremberg, London, Austin, San Francisco, and then virtually in the EU. Come learn what the IndieWeb community shipped for every single day of December 2018, which is part of the IndieWeb 2018 challenge, and talk about what's coming in 2019. So a commercial plug for that, and the information will be in the meeting notes. Actually, already is in the meeting notes because that's what I'm reading from. Be sure and attend, and we're looking forward to actually having another IndieWeb meetup in Mountain View, which we had good response to when we did it last fall. All right, now on to the ET Weekly Update. It's been quiet with the holidays, particularly virulent strain apparently of Moz flu. But there are a couple of year-end kind of retrospective bits and pieces to share with you. One is downstream from the Rust 2018 release, which we talked a little bit about back in December. The Rust team has revamped the official website. You may remember seeing it before. The new version is much more geared to helping people understand why Rust and what Rust really is and why it matters. Some of the same sort of language-specific information is still available, but the site's a lot more about the sort of the key messages now, especially with the progress in Rust 2018 around performance, reliability, and productivity. And there's also a pretty prominent piece of information to help folks get more involved with the Rust community. And that turns out to be useful because another piece of the year-ending Rust activities was our what's become now annual call for blog posts from people as to what they'd like to see in the Rust programming language. We did this in January of 2018. Gave people an opportunity, said, tell us what you'd like to have, publish a blog post, and then send us a link. And for that one, we had over 100 different blog posts from folks that said, here's what they liked about Rust, here's what they hoped they would see soon. And that was very helpful and influential into formulating the thinking and working within the community to put Rust 2018 together. So we're doing it again. There's a blog post up now inviting people to come back and do that. We'd like to see a greater response in 2019 than we saw in 2018. But certainly it's a great way for the community to sort of express their aspirations and desires and then funnel that into the very community-centric process that we use for deciding all of the features and capabilities that go into the Rust programming language. Also in the retrospective, last year one of the things we talked about quite a bit in these headline updates was the coming together of Rust and WebAssembly, a way of bringing the Rust programming language to the web and making it easy for people to get the benefits of Rust and deliver it in the browser using WebAssembly. And the team went back and sort of looked at how well that synergy had actually played out. And we received contributions in that intersection of those two technologies from over 207 people and have published a post to sort of retrospectively describe that and talk about how we're excited about that as a feature area of work and activity for us in 2019. And then lastly, for the few of you who weren't actually reading all of the Hacks blog posts when they came out, if you'd like to go back and sort of get a gist of that, Javi Hoffman published a top 10 from a perspective of posts that were read the most often of our Hacks blog post on the Hacks blog with links back to those posts. So if you'd like to relive 2018 or you'd just like to go back and read some of those posts again or read some of the ones you've maybe missed, they're all called out there for you and summarized, and it's easier for you to go back and catch up. And that's ET this week. Thanks.
Thank you, David. Now we come to the last section of today's meeting, which is introductions. It looks like we have a couple in San Francisco, so let's start there with Danelle or Kendall.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see everybody here, and Happy New Year. I wanted to introduce Shani, who is our VP of Revenue and Business Operations, and she's just starting today. I'm so excited to have her. I don't know if you want to say anything.
I am just very excited to be here.
First time up here since I started. Release operations is welcome to bring on board Andrew Erickson. He's going to take over some of the work that product integrity currently does with managing Android operating system and emulators for the Firefox CI pipeline. So we're looking forward to getting that up to the same tier as a lot of our Windows and Linux stuff. So welcome aboard.
From Mountain View. Julie, you want to come up?
I'm Julie McCracken, and I'd like to introduce Ron Manning, who will be joining the Firefox Engineering Program Management team. We're really lucky to have Ron. He has a lot of great experience. He comes from San Diego and will be working remote there, and he'll be working to support Project Fission. Are there any Fission engineers here? Raise your hand. Come look us up if there are any in Mountain View. And then I'd also like to introduce or reintroduce Jess Davis. Jess works in a remote location. She's working from a home office in North Carolina. She's actually been with Mozilla about 7+ years. She was in marketing before, and she's recently also joined the Firefox engineering program management team. We're really lucky to have her. She'll be working, or is working, with the iOS team, and she's been working with CFR, the activity stream, which stands for Contextual Feature Recommender. So welcome to Jess. She joined us in December.
I think we have one more introduction here in Mountain View.
Hi, everybody. My name is Alicia Gray. I'm the Senior Manager in the Trust and Security team, and I'd like to introduce Lily Chaskelman, who joined us today as our Senior Privacy Analyst. So you'll see her in vendor reviews. So if you submit CASA tickets and you get privacy reviews on your tickets, you'll be working with Lily in hopefully not too long of a time. She'll be taking over our data inventory work, and then her first level support will be HR data, where she'll be focusing good time and attention. So she'll be sitting over in the legal team, and feel free to drop by if you would like to say hello.
Welcome. Quick refresh to see if anything got added to the agenda in the last couple of minutes. It looks like no. So with that, we are all wrapped up. We'll see you next Monday at the same time. Until then, keep on rocking the free web.